Hello everyone and welcome to a brand new video from Kusum. I'm quality engineer for New Product Productions, Andres Relas, and today we're starting with lesson number 5 of Minitab Basics for Beginners. Now, if you haven't watched videos 1, 2, 3, and 4, please pause this video right now and go watch those videos first, because there we talk about the Minitab interface, what is hypothesis testing, what is the data mean, data average, and other additional key statistical topics that you need to understand for us to properly move on to lesson number 5, which focuses on data normality. So for any particular data set, I've been mentioning normality. And I keep saying normality, normality, normality. But what even is normality? Well, we have a hypothesis test known as a normality test, which I have here within Stat, Basic Statistics, and Normality Test. Here I have a session window within Minitab, and I can select a column that I want to analyze for a normality test. In this particular scenario, I'm going to be selecting dimension number 1, which is my C1 column. So I can just type in C1. And there are different types of normality tests that I can execute. The most common one is known as the AD test, which stands for Anderson-Darling test. There is also the Ryan-Joyner and the Kolmogorov-Smirnov. As a general rule, if the Anderson-Darling test says that the data is not normal, then Ryan-Joyner and Kolmogorov will also say that it's not normal. On the other hand, if Anderson-Darling says the data is normal, then also Ryan-Joyner and Kolmogorov will both say that the data is normal. So there won't be that much of a difference. There is an academical reason why we have Anderson-Darling and the other tests, but as a general rule, always use Anderson-Darling. Now from here, we're just going to click here on the OK option, and we're going to get our Anderson-Darling test executed as shown here. Now, how do I read this result? First off, all the data points in blue that we're showing right here correspond to each individual measurement that I have executed. If I look at my C1 column, which I'm going to maximize right now, if you don't know how to maximize, please review Minitab lesson number 1. Now here on this C1 column, if I scroll all the way down, I'm going to notice that I have 100 data points in total. And if I go back to my original graph, this one right here, I'm going to see that I have this N number right here that says 100. So all the blue dots are those 100 data points that I took. Now, there's this red line showing here. This red line corresponds to the theoretical distribution that my data should follow if it was perfectly normal. So, what does that mean for me? If my blue data points follow this red line, then the data is likely going to be normal. If my blue data points were to not follow the red line with any type of odd shape, then my data would not be normal. In this scenario, visually, we can confirm that the data is actually normal. Now, I also get information about the data mean, the data standard deviation, based on the sample set that was taken. So this is the average of my data and the standard deviation of my data set. I get the Anderson-Darling statistical value, which I could look up in an Anderson-Darling normality test table, but I don't need to do that because Minitab translates that to something that we call p-value. If the p-value is above 0.05, then I can confirm that my data is actually normal. If my p-value is below 0.05, then I'll state that my data is not normal. This rule is going to apply for any normality test that you execute. So for example, if I redo this analysis, so I'll do stat, basic, and then normality test. And now I'm going to select my column C2. So I'll select the C2 column. And if I review my data, again, visually, my blue dots follow this red line somewhat. There are a couple of stragglers showing here, but overall, they visually do follow this red line. So visually, I could state that the data is actually normal. Oh, sorry, there we go. I could confirm it with my p-value. If it is above 0.05, then the data is normal. If it is below 0.05, then the data is not normal. In this scenario, my value is 0.515, which is above 0.05, so my data is actually normal. Now, what does it mean for data to be normal? It just means that the data is symmetrical. I could visualize that with a simple graph and then just like histogram, and I could select C1 and C2. If I look at my data set right here, I could somewhat roughly split it here in the middle position. And you can see that as I get near this middle position, I get more data. And as I get closer to the edges, I get less data. The blue bars here correspond to how many times or the frequency of a particular measurement result. So most of my measurement results are contained near the average of my data, with a couple of key stragglers toward the right side and toward the left side, roughly being symmetrical in shape. It is not skewed. Now, how would skewed data look? We can visualize this with something that we call probability distribution plot, which is graph and this tool right here. Now, if I select this option, I can select vary parameters, so you can visualize this. And here on distribution, by default, I already have the normal option selected. I can modify this to something that is not normal. For example, let's say Weibull. The Weibull distribution is a special type of non-normal distribution, which can be skewed toward the left side or toward the right side. As you can see here, it starts here at 0, and then most of my data is contained on this middle portion, but then my data gets pulled toward the right side. So my data gets skewed toward greater values. Okay. Now, following along, let's visualize what our normality test would say if I were to analyze non-normal data. So let's create some non-normal data sets. I'm just gonna click here on Calc, Random Data. I'll select Weibull, and I'll select 200 data points. I'll store them on C1. And just for now, I'm gonna give them a shape of 1.5 and a scale of 200. I'll explain what those mean in a little bit. From here, I'll do Normality Test, and then I'll just simply select C1 column. So you can see here, I have the theoretical value that my data should follow. It's the red line. Some of the data values do follow it, but then I get this type of behavior. We call it a banana shape. So if you look at it, it's kind of like a little banana, something like this. So it curves up or it curves down. This is one of the most common behaviors you're going to find when you fail a normality test, which again is not a bad thing. It just means that my data is not normal. From here, I can look at my p-value, and you can see that it is not above 0.05. It is actually below 0.05, and don't get tricked by the decimal position. It's actually 0.005, so it is 10 times smaller than my acceptance value. So I could state that this data is not normal. Now, how does the Weibull distribution work? The Weibull distribution is a special type of distribution that is very common when we do functional testing. So whenever you're trying to break something, or you're trying to check how long something is going to live before it fails, most of the units are going to fail at roughly the same position. But you will find those stragglers, those units that push the curve toward the right side. So maybe I'm trying to break this pen right here, and I'm using a tension system or a Chatillon system, and I'm pushing it, and most of the units break at around the 100 pounds force position. A couple might break at 50 or might break at 20, but then all of a sudden I get a unit that either based on the way that I place it on the test system, or based on the plastic that was used, or based on the glue adhesive that was used, etc., it reaches 200, 300, or 400 pounds force before breaking. Again, this can also happen on age type testing. So if I'm doing an age test, right, and let's say most people get into college between the ages of 18 and 27 years old. So most people in college are around this age group. But there's no particular reason why somebody at 50 or 60 or 70 can't go to college. It's just more unusual. So you might get somebody that is 60 years old or 70 years old, and he is going to college. But the overall total population of people who are 60 or 70 years old going to college is a lot less than the people from the 18 to 27 year gap. So again, for age type testing, most of the time, it's going to follow a non-normal type distribution, such as a Weibull. Where is normal data most common? Normal data is most common when we're talking about dimensional analysis. So let's just select something here real quick. So I'm going to select here normal. Oh, sorry. Let me just find it. Normal distribution should be around here. There we go. I'm just going to click here on 10 just to make it easier. Here we go. This is quite common for dimensional results. So when I'm measuring something that is coming from a machine itself, some units are going to be bigger, some units are going to be smaller, and some are going to be just around average. So there's going to be an average of where my machine is cutting, for example, how long it cuts the part, but some units are going to be cut a little bit longer and some units are going to be cut a little bit shorter. It's not going to be that drastic. It's all based on my standard deviation and how repeatable my machine actually is. But overall, there's going to be smaller parts and bigger parts, and that's it. Perfect. So now you know how to do a normality test using Minitab. Remember that we always conclude based on our p-value. If it is above 0.05, then the data is normal. If the data follows that red line, it is also going to be normal. If my p-value is below 0.05, then it is going to be not normal. And if my data does not follow that red line and actually curves around it, it's also visually not going to be normal. I'm quality engineer for New Product Productions, Andres Relas, wishing you all a great day. Thank you, team.